I'm in the bush, scouting for a lake where I'm hoping to try something new, setting up my hot tent right on the ice. The snow's getting deep, so I'm breaking a trail to the lake with a light load first. It's a short haul on this little side road, and then I can cut out onto the lake. There are a bunch of tracks in the snow, so I'm setting up the trail cam here too as I come through with the rest of the load. There's supposed to be a decent snowstorm tomorrow, and there's an extreme cold warning for this trip, so it's important that I pick my site carefully. Conditions are beautiful right now, and I'm excited to experience hot tenting on the ice for the first time. I think this could be the spot. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Whether this is even possible. If I drill and the ice floods with water, then camping on the ice is not going to be possible. I'm going to put my underwater camera down there as well and see what's up. Spool could use some oil. Okay, it's not too deep, but that's alright, it doesn't have to be. So of all the spots on this lake, why here? It's supposed to be pretty cold tonight, minus 20 or so, and tomorrow a big wind is going to come in from the south, blowing a pretty decent snowstorm. It's going to be milder tomorrow, but gotta watch out for the wind because I'll be completely exposed here on the ice. Then tomorrow night the wind shifts to the west. I'll be well sheltered from that here, and then it gets really cold, potentially minus 30 with a wind from the north, which I'll be really well sheltered from here. So it's mostly about the wind, and yeah, the fact that the ice didn't flood here when I drilled means that this is a go. It's finally happening. Yeah, this is a beautiful spot. Totally quiet, secluded, no snowmobile tracks or anything on the lake, so it should be just dead quiet out here. This is fantastic. Sun's getting low and there's a ton to do. Because it's going to be cold enough that I'll probably want to run the stove all night, I brought in a little battery powered chainsaw to get me started for the trip. Just spent the battery just cutting up this nice log. This will keep me going for tonight and into tomorrow, maybe even for tomorrow night. So it's just a really nice head start. Nice and dry. Turning into a really pretty night. Crystal clear sky and little moon. Got all my snow anchors here. Stake the tent down with these and pack it with snow. Drying out the corners as well. Normally I don't even bother. I just let the guy lines do the work, especially because I'm sheltered in the woods normally, not so exposed like this. But when the wind kicks up, I don't want to be worrying about the tent flying away, especially while the stove is roaring. Spot worked out perfectly. Lots of standing dead firewood. Another one for the bipod. Bipod will keep the pipe secure when the wind kicks up tomorrow. Always an exciting moment. Minus 20, just about. Celsius. Plenty cold. Metal hurts to touch. Cameras are struggling. So this is the payoff. Here's the hole I drilled earlier, covered it with snow so it wouldn't freeze, and I get to get water indoors. What a privilege. Haha. It's amazing, like at home, you'd never be excited about that, but getting water in my heated home on the ice is just pure luxury. trying to decide what to have for dinner. It's 8 o'clock and I'm ravenous. I remembered I brought pierogies. Cheese and potato, and brought a bunch of onion, which is frozen into a block, but you can get it out. Is there anything more appetizing than the smell of onions cooking? I don't think so. Hot chocolate appetizer. I'm wiped. Too tired for a sip of scotch even. Oh my goodness. Yes. Came outside to brush my teeth, go to the bathroom, and I was thinking it's pretty cold. It is. It's almost minus 30. Very, very nippy. The stars are really popping out though. Black bean burgers this morning, again with some onion. It's blustery outside, gritty snow. Not that cold anymore, but anyway, it feels amazing to be in here. And after I'm done breakfast, I can finally start fishing from inside here. Like, I'm so excited about that. The wind was really gusting for a while. It's not bad now, which is good. This is the most exposed wind direction for me, so yeah, I'd rather have the wind later. Alright, it's time. I'm gonna draw water one more time here and drop my line in. Got my sonar and the ice fishing camera and a backup battery for the sonar. Normally I can't bring these things on backcountry trips because they're heavy. The batteries are very heavy for that. And I could feel it on the haul in here, but I didn't have too far to go, maybe a kilometer and a half. I'm gonna send the underwater camera down again too. Could barely see anything yesterday in the sunlight. Yeah, it doesn't seem like an overly special spot, but hopefully I'll get lucky. Fish will cruise along. Starting out with a little lipless crank. Don't know the species in here, but most likely be pike, maybe walleye, maybe perch. So a little lipless crank like this will play for any of those. Even perch. The guy I ran into at the access point, he said the next lake has pike, perch, and walleye, and he has some friends who fished this lake and they didn't get any bites, but they did see marks on their sonar. So there should be some fish in here. He also, we talked about the weather a little bit, and he described the weather as milder today and then stupid cold after that. Right now, the forecast on my SATCOM device is showing minus 34 for the low tomorrow, so that's pretty cold. Set the range to 10 feet so I can get the most of the screen. And I like the split frequency view. And I got 77 kilohertz there, 200 kilohertz there. Pick up different things sometimes. That's my lure there. Yikes. Pretty big gust coming through now. Just half an hour ago I said it was calming down. This is why I normally set up in the woods, so much more protected from this kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm glad to be here. It's fun. Shelter's really well staked down, so it's not going anywhere. So far, my first time camping on the ice has been absolutely fine. No issues, even with the wind. But one of my other concerns was if there's a lot of snow on top of the ice, it'll force water up through gaps in the ice or holes like this. I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I feel like the water's a little higher in the hole now as the snow comes down. You have to keep an eye on it. There's a spot right in the bush where I can move if need be, but hopefully not. Snow's starting to come down pretty hard out there. There's a fish on the screen. I was about to fall asleep. I'm lifting up, but you can still see the mark there. It's checking me out. Well, it's nice to see something. Fish on. What do we have? Oh, it's a tiny pike. At least something happened. I'm just going to release it right here. It's too small for keeping. Go. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Just switched up to the tube jig maybe half an hour ago. First fish that's come along on the sonar, so who knows, it probably would have hit the other one too. It's a pike. But when you get so few chances, it's nice when you connect with the chances you do get. Holy cow. snow finally let up. It's turning into a beautiful evening. Before it gets dark, I'm going to take one more tree. There are 3 small ones here that choke themselves out. And I just want to make sure I have plenty of wood to get through these really cold temperatures. Over the next 3 days, I'll only be here for 2, but over the next 3, it's not supposed to get above -20, so you don't want to be caught without enough firewood. The wind started out south today, then it came from the west, and now it's that cold north wind. So I'll have my hot glove and a little silicone mitt to handle this elbow. And it's still swirling a bit, so I don't want to really shoot it to the south. I'll just angle it to the south a little, but kind of upright. Because if it swirls around, it can blow smoke back out through the stove. Getting dinner on, and tonight there is an appetite for scotch. And it's not my usual cheap stuff. This is Lafroig from Aaron's family, Barbell and Cass. Cheers. That's really nice. Doled out some onion rations in the hash browns. They were quite good. And I'll get my line back in the water after I eat this, but nothing doing on the sonar over there. I'm watching it. Squeaky snow this morning, brutally cold. -27 on the thermometer, but it feels colder with this breeze, a lot colder actually. And tomorrow is supposed to be much colder yet, so back to the tent. One drawback of camping on the ice is water pooling around the stove. Normally the stove would melt snow, but it would just melt down. Here it pools. Sun feels really good. Coffee, beautiful in here. And it's not actually snow melting, it's water is pooling under the snow from my hole around the stove, so that's a point off sleeping on the ice. So far, there are some real advantages here, but I would say so far I prefer camping in the woods. This is my kind of day. Cold, sunny. Camp's already set up. I'm going to cut up the rest of that tree from yesterday, hike around the lake, and then come back and fish in the tent. this should do me. This narwhal cut. This is the biggest one, the base off the first tree. I always enjoy splitting the big pieces. Oh yeah. Come on. There. It's a pretty awkward piece to get into my stove, which is not huge. Split that one. That's interesting. Oh, it's poop. There's poop down there. I almost touched it. What a gorgeous lake. I'd never considered this lake. I just found it, and man, it is amazing. Couldn't have worked out better. A lot of weight. Looks like something got scooped up here. Maybe that's what happened to the last one. Something got scooped up and it pooped as it got taken away. Some more tracks here. Decent size. Interesting. Wow. That's eerie. It almost like human tracks that went deep, but they lead to nowhere. There's nothing out that way. Wouldn't make sense. And they fizzle out on the lake where the snow blew them over. Just based on the depth of them, I can only imagine it was moose. Another victim potentially. What a line again. Oh good, it's not too frozen. Last of the onion rations in there. And burritos tonight. Oh, I just finished making dinner. There's a good mark. Well, it's a fish. Yep. Oh, lost it. Shoot. Drag was a little loose. Hook set wasn't great. Yep. It's still there. Oh, it's stuck in the sonar. Yeah, there's a small pipe. Oh, okay, I'm gonna try and leave it in the hole, or it's gonna make a mess. No, you stay in there, Also just better for the fish. Stay in the water. Nice long pliers. There. There. A little pike. Thank you. Cool. On to dinner. Pike hands, just in time for a meal. But I've got some bows in here, and rubbing the needles into my hands, take that scent right off. Pike have quite a few bones, and once they're big enough, it's not a problem to clean them. But small ones, the bone to meat ratio is just not great, so I'm not gonna keep that. These are my favorite nights in winter. Cold, clear, and calm. Should be great stars tonight. Yeah, I love this. One of the advantages of a cotton canvas tent like this is that it breathes really well. Got a couple of pans steaming on the stove. You can see the steam coming through the canvas. Look at that. Wow. Temperature's plummeting. Suddenly it's almost minus 30. And it's just twilight. I keep coming out of the tent to finish up for the day and film twilight. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how low it goes. So I got this infrared camera, and I thought it kind of served its purpose. I might try and sell it, but I keep finding different ideas for it that are kind of interesting. Got this one in a comment. Gonna go outside and try it. Some serious cold just envelops everything. And when I was cutting firewood earlier today, I was thinking this should be enough, and then I cut a few more rounds, and then I cut a few more rounds after that, because you just do not want to have to think about running out in the middle of the night. And I think I'm good, but it's so cold it just cast out. But there's more wood I can cut there. If I can leave here warm, I can go and cut more wood, and that'll keep me warm too, so it's fine. At most it would be an inconvenience to have to do that in the night or early in the morning, but yeah. Oh, it feels good to be horizontal. Oh. Just went out one last time before bed, brought in the last of the firewood, checked the thermometer. This is officially the coldest I have ever camped. It's minus 37, 38 even, 37. It's cold. Previous coldest was minus 36. It's brutal out there. Good morning. It's just a hair shy of minus 40. It's just about there. What that feels like if you've never been in it, nostrils freeze, eyelids kind of freeze together, stings the lungs, but yeah, it's raw and it's an experience. Glad to be here and to have the stove going. I do have plenty of firewood left. So I'm comfortable. I'll enjoy the morning. I'm not packing up until the sun's been up for a little bit. Actually, it's not even just shy of minus 40. It is minus 40. I had it leaning up against the tent so I could grab it when I was inside, and I guess it has cooled down a degree or two now, being away from the tent. Made it! With the lack of sleep over the last 3 nights, interrupted sleep, and the temperature, I would say this might be the most important coffee of my life. Absolutely amazing coffee. And the cool thing about minus 40, if you didn't know this, it's where Fahrenheit and Celsius are equivalent. Got some boiling water to use up. Why not one more time? Finally coaxed myself out of the tent after a second cup of coffee, letting the fire die down. Got a lot of firewood left, which is a little painful. Feels like throwing money away. Firewood is wealth out here. But I'll leave it here. Maybe someone can use it. Who knows? Maybe I'll be back. It's such a great spot. Time to see if the snow anchors are still snow or if they're solid ice. Yep, it's pretty icy. Come on. There. Alright. Fire's just burning off the last coals to get the heat shield, which prevented a ton of melt, but still there's a pretty significant pool here. All packed up, got the site cleaned up. The water here will freeze up in no time at all. In fact, my ice fishing hole is already solidly frozen over. And what a great 4 days. Really had no expectations for this trip, and it was kind of a perfect example of winter in the boreal forest. Sleeping on the ice, would I do it again? Maybe. But To be honest, I prefer in the woods. There's kind of a sense of wariness that comes with camping on the ice. So exposed, and you get so much more shelter in the woods. And then especially the flooding issue or potential. That's kind of unnerving, to wake up potentially in the night and have water filling your camping area when it's minus 35, minus 40 even. My first time camping at minus 40 on the ice, no less. So yeah, I kind of prefer in the woods, but obviously fishing and drawing water from the hole is pretty cool. But it's just more peaceful to set up in the woods. Anyway, that was a great trip. Actually, one of my favorite winter trips. Time to haul out though. Made it back to the car. Now for the biggest question of all. Will it start? Yes. Erin's on the road today and she would have been an hour away from me, more or less, if she had to boost me, but this is much better. What a trip.